So in last week's video we discussed about the new layout and what I wanted to do with it, and we went into any rail and I showed you the design, and I may have tweaked it since, but this week we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to talk about what I'm going to achieve with this going forward, what I want to get onto the layout, but also we're going to lay some track. But before we lay the track, I've got to paint the board, and I've got the paint now, so we're going to quickly do that. So should we crack on? I'll talk about this in another video. Let's crack on. So as you can see, it's probably took me all of half an hour, but I think the brown coat makes a massive difference. It just makes it pop a bit, and it just means in the future when it comes to ground cover and stuff, it's already got that base layer of brown anyway. But I think it's coming on now. I just need to go around where it's dry and see where bits, you can still see bits of the wood, but other than that it's looking pretty bang on. I don't know what you guys think. Now I'm gonna have to give this 24 hours to dry, so I think I'll let it dry, probably even 12 to be fair, and yeah, come back and we'll start laying some track. Now just on a side note, I have got the Class 60 that I showed you in the last clip there, and I just want to say wow, it sounds incredible and looks incredible, so I might actually get that out in this video, but we'll see how far we get on. There's a lot of track laying to do. I've also picked up some track bedding by Woodland Scenics. It's basically, it says sound deadening, but it doesn't, but it allows you to have that that shoulder, that ballast shoulder. Now a lot of people seem to use cork, which is good, but I've found in the past that the cork can sometimes tear away quite easily, so I'm willing to give this a go and we'll just see how we get on, I guess. But let's give this some time to cure, is that the right word? Dry, and then we'll come back and start laying some track. So what do you think? I think it's come out pretty well with the track laying. So basically what I like to do before I actually start gluing down track and putting dropper wires in and all that, I like to just lay the track out, cut the track to size, and basically just make sure that it does fit the baseboards to the plan that I did on any rail. And as you can see, it's come out really well. But if you haven't realised, I'll point it out now, where the Goflin type buildings are at the back corner, they're very, very close to the back of the layout. So I've changed the plan slightly, and that basically means I'm getting rid of the 2-track mainline that I talked about earlier in the video. The problem was it was getting too cramped for me, and the other thing was it just sort of didn't make sense to me because I'm loosely going off the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, and I say loosely, I mean loosely, because I don't want people to start going, well, that doesn't look right and that doesn't look right. It's very loose. It's going to have sweeping curves into a valley, and it's going to have some of the Goflin buildings, and I'm going to sort of mimic Goflin Station in a little way, but it was getting too cramped. I really like the idea of the viaduct, and I think I'm going to keep that, but I'm going to keep that for a road bridge instead of a railway bridge. So that means I can have a couple of cottages in the top corner where the main line was going, and I've also got a pub that I really wanted to get in here somewhere, so that can go up on one of the valleys. So I think if I keep this as a heritage layout, I think it would work really well. Now there's going to be a picture up on the screen now of the new plan, and that basically what that means is this layout is now not going to be an end-to-end layout. It's not going to have a fiddle yard at one end. It's now going to have the 2 tracks well, you can see on the drawing, but essentially the 2 tracks are going to run straight through, and it's going to be a roundy eventually. So what that means is I can bring the 2 tracks going into the station slightly over a bit and more straight out. So that means I've got a little bit of room at the back to get a sort of a hill started, and then I'll have a back scene with trees and all very Yorkshire Dales-esque. And I just think it gives me that much more room without cramping stuff in. And as you can see here, I've got a load of old stock that's weathered, and it all looks really good, but at the same time it also looks like a bit of a bit of like a freight yard rather than like a heritage yard. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell quite a lot of the 7 plank wagons and the wagons with coal in, and I'm actually been looking on eBay at static models, like static locos that have been weathered and they look like they're in disarray and they need some, much love. So I think over time I'll buy some of them. I think they're about £25 each depending on what you get, and yeah, I think that will really help the look of that sort of Gromont MPD style storage yards basically. As you can see on the drawing as well, or you'd have seen, there was a coach just slightly in front of the station buildings nearest me. That's going to be a sleeper coach or camping coach, and I think that would look really cool like that, so I'm going to keep that in. But I think it's really starting to come on. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if you guys agree with me with the not having the main line coming through. I mean, I would love to have had it, but it just means that it'd been right at the back there, and it'd been super tight to get the station in where I want the Gorfland buildings there with the coal drop in the station building and stuff like that. So I just couldn't get it in, and like I say, I just didn't want to cramp it in. So yeah, I think going forward that is the plan. Now I need you to tell me what you think, whether you think it's a good idea or a bad idea. Do I change something? Because this is not set yet. Although I've laid it out and I've cut the track, I can get more track. I've got spare track anywhere where I need to change it if I have to. But I think going forward, I think it would really benefit this layout if it just stayed as heritage. Now, talking about heritage, I picked up a loco in the form of a Hornby 9F. Now, this was a little bit of a random thing. I don't know if you have heard of a company called Vetix. They're a auction company, people who've lost loved ones that had a lot of locos and rolling stock and anything, even from planes, model planes, you name it. If they don't have the time to sort of sell everything individually, what they do is they take it to Vetix and they basically auction it all off. Now, as much as it's sad that people have lost their loved ones, sometimes you can get a great deal. In case of the 9F, now the 9F was it worked out at about £180, and it's second hand, but it's brand new second hand, if that makes sense. And I just think it's a really good way to sort of, if you don't have the money for an item that you really want, by all means look on there. But I just want to bear in mind that you may say, for instance, I don't know, I think I may bidded £140, but £40 went on top of that for admin fees and the auctioneer's fees, etc. So you do need to bear that in mind. I just thought I'd bring that up just purely on the basis that I saved a little bit of money. I've always wanted a 9F, and yeah, it's a great option to try and save a bit of money, because we all know that this hobby is not the cheapest. Now, I just want to end by saying, if I can get it out without breaking it, there we are, the Class 60. Now the Class 60, I've had it running on the TMD layout, and what can I say, it's truly amazing. And that's not me being biased, because I'm a Curious Scale fan, but it's heavy. It's the sound coming from it sounds amazing. The detail on it is phenomenal. And honestly, if you're in the market for a Class 60, keep your eyes out for the batch 2, I believe, and that I think is coming out the end of the year, or quarter 4 maybe. I can't remember off the top of my head. There's some beautiful ones. I've got a DC Rail one on order. I'm really looking forward to it. But if you guys want me to do a separate video on looking a bit more in depth into the Class 60, then drop a comment below, and I'm more than willing to do that. Now, what's next? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mull over the plan, make sure I'm happy with it, and while I do that, I'm going to jump onto the TMD in the next video, and there's a lot to talk about on that one, by the way. But for now, I'm like I say, I'm going to mull it over. I've got a few more golfing buildings coming from eBay to finish the set, and then if I'm happy with it, what I'll do is, in my brain, I'm going to start the double slip. I'm going to get the dropper wires on it. I'm going to get the frog wires down, drilled in, glued in. When that's glued in, I can then work my way either way. Because what I like to do on any rail is you can put measure points on. So I know that, I don't know, say for instance, this double slip is 20 centimeters off the front of the baseboard and say 50 centimeters from the end of this particular baseboard. I know that's the fixed point, and then everything else should follow suit, barring, you know, the flexi track. But there's quite a lot of point work in this section anyway, so it's quite straightforward for me to work that way. It's not the right way, it's not the wrong way, it's just the way I like to work. Now, the only thing I'm missing on this layout is the Pico. Well, I'm undecided. I'm either going to get the Pico or the Helgin turntable. Now, if you guys have used these turntables before, I would really like to know what you thought on either of them turntables. Basically, because one's £70, one's £300. I know the Helgin one is supposed to be better, but I've never had hands on, so I don't know. And I do believe there's another turntable that's even more expensive. I just can't remember the name off the top of my head. But if you've dealt with Pico or Helgin on the turntables, I'd really love to know what your thoughts are. Now, I think I'm going to wrap it up here, because I've got some mulling over to do, and then in the next video we're going to move on and talk about Leslie Road TMD and what a stunner this is going to be, because there's a lot happening. So stay tuned for that. Please like, subscribe, and if you ding dong the notification bell, I hate saying that, it gives me the ick. It'll give you a notification every time I upload. I know that's not all the time, but yeah, I'm trying to get as many videos done for you guys, so I'm not falling behind, because this year I really want to progress on both of these layouts. Just on a side note, before you go, I've got Darlington Model Railway Club Open Day coming up in March. There'll be a poster up on the screen somewhere here. I'm going to be taking Bescar Lane, and I'm also going to be taking Midford Yard, the N-gauge layout, which I haven't really shown you guys yet. You'll have seen a clip of it in the beginning, just after I spoke. It's a lovely layout, so I'll be bringing them two layouts, and I'll have a couple of guys from the club helping me run them. Now, it is only an open day, but it is a day for us to show the members layouts and to also just talk to people that want to join. So if you're up in the area in the northeast and you happen to be around in the March time, we would really appreciate you coming over and speaking to us, or speaking to me, or speaking to any of the guys. We just really love talking about everything that we do at the club and what we set out to achieve. But like I say, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed this little update. Obviously, once the first point goes down, it'll really start to take off, and then once we've got the track laid and we've got it all in, then yeah, it'll be onto the scenic. So who knows where we'll end up in 12 months time. Hopefully not in the same stage, because yeah, it won't be very good, would it? But anyway, thank you guys for watching. like I say, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.